I'm Dave. This is Cyderbaby Pod, and today I am speaking to Ben from Source. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm pretty good. You're looking well. Whereabouts in the States are you, sir?
I'm in Colorado. I live on top of a mountain outside of Boulder at about 8,500 feet above sea level.
Wow, that's got to be
Yeah,
pretty impressive, isn't it?
it's really nice. It's definitely inspiring too. We have a recording studio here, so we do all of our writing and recording and producing and everything here in the woods. So
Right.
it's a nice hybrid of like the organic and then all the digital modern stuff, the electronics and recording and everything. It's fun.
Okay. Well, I'm basically here to chat about your recent single, Vesica, The Path In, I believe, in brackets.
Yeah.
Uh, Tell me about the single. Just tell me the story behind the single.
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately it's kind of like from a evolution of how Source has gone. We started with kind of I was and I've always wanted to move towards being way more collaborative, and I think Vesica and Emergence, the song we put out in the fall, are moving a lot towards the collaborative element. Like the intro line was basically written by our drummer.
Okay.
I took some stuff from it and kind of changed it a little bit, and that sort of sparked this whole uh everything. It's kind of like dominoes a lot of the time, where like you'll get a part and you're like, oh, that actually works with this, and then it just sort of falls into place really nicely with us a lot of the time. And so this was a really collaborative effort musically, and then lyrically the songs, it's a deep song. It's the word vesica is a reference to the vesica piscis, which is basically two intersecting circles like a Venn diagram.
Okay.
And that's sort of like the foundation of a lot of sacred geometry, and a lot of like different geometrical shapes can be built from the vesica piscis. And from a kind of like metaphysical idea, the vesica piscis represents your consciousness's first interaction with another consciousness. So to me, I'm kind of referencing prenatal existence, and how prenatal trauma and just experiences like while you're in the womb can subconsciously really direct how your life goes, and the
Yeah.
type of person that you are. And so the song's about trying to understand, really through like meditation and kind of like hypnotherapy type work, like regressing back into this state of feeling like I'm in the womb, and then trying to get as much information as I can. And that's where like the inspiration lyrically came from. And I think the idea of the song is to kind of, even though let's say there's like disconnect in some way, which I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of different experiences in the womb that probably make them feel uneasy, at least like as a very new life form, right? And
Mm.
I think taking, like, acknowledging that and being aware of it and feeling what it makes me feel anyways, and then choosing to find connection, even though connection is sometimes really hard to find and it's really scary, like trying to meet people and create a community and feel like I belong. And I'm sure other people feel that way too. So really the song's about just moving past the fear and the tendency towards isolation, um, and moving towards connection and moving towards community and finding people and communities and spaces that are like sonorous. Like I use the word sonority, which basically means to have a resonant quality with your, like, with specifically with sound,
Mm.
to have sound have a resonant quality with the space that it's in. So like a church cathedral is like super sonorous.
Yeah.
um and so the idea is to find that same quality with myself and the community that I live in, basically. Yeah,
Okay, so it's quite a personal story as well, then, is it?
for sure. And I think all of our, like, my lyrics are super personal, I think, because I don't write music for people as much as I write music for myself.
Hmm.
And I'm usually using music as a way to continue processing things I'm understanding about myself. And when I can turn it into a song or a piece of art, it feels like I have a better understanding of the whole story behind this path of, this section of learning about myself, or kind of understanding who I am and why I am the way I am. And so I think being able to just kind of put it into a song helps me to really like internalize everything and
Yeah.
process it, without art.
Yeah. I get it. We all, as listeners, relate to some songs that struck a message in the back of your mind, and that's why some of the songs become so personal to people. I mean, when you're writing, obviously, it's quite more intense because you're just drawing from yourself all the time. Would that be fair?
Absolutely, yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you probably have some of those songs that come to mind too, which I'd be curious about. For me, I think "Time" by Pink Floyd
Mm,
is one of the songs that, like, maybe the story doesn't exactly match, like, the story of David, I believe, wrote the lyrics to that song. I don't know, it's probably collaborative with them, but that, that story of getting older, and then one day you find 10 years have gone behind you, no one told you when to run, you missed the starting gun, like that
yeah.
continues to resonate with me throughout my life. And maybe, like, the way it resonates with me isn't the same exact way that it resonates with the people who wrote it, but it's something that speaks to me on that level. And I'm always trying to write music that can speak to people on that level, hopefully. But really, I'm just speaking to myself, and that's what I found like the good art really does. It's just like,
Yeah.
this is my story, and if you resonate with that, then that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, sonically, I mean, it's a wonderful, wonderful track. Just
Thank you.
you know, all encompassed is, yeah. I could listen to it for hours. I mean, it goes on for 7 or 8 minutes, and it's just like a blink of
That's
an
the
eye.
short version.
Sometimes that's a
That's the
short
short
version.
version. Yeah, yeah. We cut like a minute out of the guitar solo because we were like, we probably don't need like a 3 minute long guitar solo in this. So the album version will have the full extended guitar solo, and we actually just like 2 hours ago recorded a little acoustic guitar intro part for it as well. That kind of gives it a little bit more just fun, tasty stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means you're working on an album then for this particular single. So how soon do you think that's going to be available?
We're shooting late September, maybe early October. We're basically done with it. I have to record a few small vocal parts, and I think we're basically done with recording. And as far as mixing goes, like, we mix as we go, so there's not a
Yeah.
ton of mixing left that has to happen. So we'll probably have the whole thing wrapped up in the next 2 weeks here. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So which album number is this? This is something like fifth album, is it?
Or yeah, fourth album.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fourth album. Yeah. So you've moved as you've gone. You've grown, shall we say, as you've grown from each album to each album, and it's great to see that, or great to hear that, because so many people just stay in one place, and you could rewrite the same album and put it out, and it does get a bit boring. But this, I've gone back over your whole career so far, or thus far, and
Thanks.
each album has gone better and better and better. So I'm looking forward to the new album. So
Good. I'm glad you feel that way, because there are some people who are really like, "Oh, your first album's so much better than all your other albums," and I'm like, "That's just insane." Like,
yeah.
it's just, but whatever. People have their own attachments to stuff, and the fact that I wrote anything that anybody likes makes me feel very humble and warm. So that's good. But I do think, like, I see the evolution of our music,
Mm,
and so much of that has been bringing in, other people's ideas and really working. It's taken a long time to get the right lineup for this band, but I think we finally have it.
yeah.
And that's especially why collaboration's been so cool, is like, I can only write so many things, I can only generate so many ideas before it does become kind of like what you're
Mm,
talking about, where it's just like, let's just keep rewriting the same thing over and over
mm,
again. And then you bring in other people's experiences, and our little triangle logo thing is, in my for me, it's like a visual representation of how the three of us interact and create something new and novel. The way those three triangles are, connected with each other.
yeah.
And I think just being able to take other people's ideas and write, a whole song together from this one thing that I never would have come up with is really exciting. And I think that's the direction we're going as a band for sure, because I think the way that we interact with each other is going to evolve, and like we go on
Mm,
tour with each other, so we go into this tiny little van and live our life for a couple weeks with each other really close, smelling each other the whole time, and
yeah.
it it creates some friction, but the friction is a good thing, I think, and I think it can be inspiring, and with the right group of people that who are willing to continue to choose to be in a relationship with each other, like you have to be in a band, and
Mm,
so I think creating that bond and then really working that bond by putting ourselves through really intense stuff is really inspiring, and I think that's going to continue to make our music evolve because we're going to evolve in our relationship with each other.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, just step it back a bit. I mean, you mentioned Pink Floyd, so that must have been a big inspiration in you growing up,
Oh yeah, for
musically.
sure. Yeah, I found Pink Floyd when I was 13, and some of my real core memories of growing up and learning who I was versus who I was kind of raised to be, or
Mm,
conditioned to be by our American way, um were really associated with Pink Floyd for sure.
yeah. So now, I mean, who are you listening to now? For well, not so much inspiration, but just for pleasure, just to relax to.
Well, you're British, so you're gonna love me. I've been listening to Radiohead and The Cure a lot, and Pink Floyd.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
basically the past, like recently, just getting back into Radiohead. I was really, really into Radiohead when I was in high school, and then just had like a musical falling out with them, where like the things that I felt while I was listening to Radiohead got too like tied together, and I couldn't separate them. So I didn't listen to Radiohead for like, I don't know, 10 or 15 years.
Mm,
And just on this last tour, I was like, can we put on Okay Computer? Like I haven't listened to this in forever. And I'm just like have this, you know, desire to check this out again. And it's so good. I mean, they're so good. Tom York is such a good melody writer. And I love they don't tune his vocals. It makes me
yeah.
so happy. Because that would just be a travesty. Like it'd be like tuning Robert Smith's vocals. Like who somebody should do that. Like I know that I think it's like
No,
Rick
please don't.
just to prove a point of like you really shouldn't be tuning everybody's voice, like it would just
Mm,
ruin Robert Smith, man. Like, ugh. So actually, I'm getting to see The Cure in a couple of weeks. They're going to be coming through town, so I finally get to see them, and
oh,
it's
that's amazing. Yeah. So touring then. I mean, I assume you've got something planned for the album. Are you going to be touring much or?
yeah. So it'll just be in the States because we don't have anybody that's going to take us out to open for them yet, and it really doesn't make sense to fly
Mm,
somewhere else if we're not going to be on a tour that's for at least we're not the headliner and trying to make the whole show happen. So here we've been doing small headlining tours for years, and we're finally starting to build a real small but awesome fan base, and it just keeps growing every time we come to the same places. So we're touring through the Midwest and the East Coast a little bit, and then we'll be doing, hopefully, as long as everything goes to plan, we'll be doing a whole West Coast run too this fall. Yeah.
okay. Well, I wish you all the best with the album. I won't keep you too much longer because, time is precious and you've got an album to make. Um, is there anything you'd like to say to the people listening?
If you haven't listened to our music, go check it out. I think we're one of those bands that I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like we kind of slip under the radar sometimes. And I think we've been writing great music from the beginning, and like most people think it's gotten a lot better. So I'm really happy with everything we've made and put out, and I think it all tells a story, and I think it's fun. It's a fun story. I don't know. I enjoy it, and really, like, I read it because it's cathartic for me, and I think because of that, it could be cathartic for other people too. Who knows?
Okay. Ben, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully we'll
Thank
bump
you.
into each other one day.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, we'll be over there on tour sometime.
Okay. Take care.
You too. Thank you.